So welcome. My name is Jeff Solomon. I'm one of the founders and executive director here. If you've never been here before, Amplify is a really cool community space. We have a combination of co-working here, which is the space you're in. Upstairs is also co-working. If you want a free day pass, just ask Sarah over there. She can hook you up, and you're welcome to come hang out here. And then the other side up there, which you're welcome to go look at, is Amplify, which is an accelerator. We have about 18 companies that we've invested in, and we're always looking for new companies. So please learn more if you want to on our website. Wednesday nights we have these like cool get-togethers where we have different people from the community share about what they're passionate about, what their expertise is. And this week we're stoked. I'm stoked. I haven't seen you in a while either. So this is Alon from DocStock, and I've actually, this is a quick little story about DocStock. I didn't know you when I first, but his partner Jason, who you've probably seen speak, he's like Silicon. He's one of those guys. But my last company was invested in by Rustic Canyon, which is also invested in your company. And I remember Rustic Canyon reached out to me. They're like, "Oh, you got to meet this guy, Jason. We're thinking about doing an investment in his company. Like, when are you gonna meet him?" And Jason hadn't yet built his whole like image. He had it inside, but it wasn't like out there. And he was telling me, he's like, "Oh, I got this amazing CTO partner, Alon. He's like, we're gonna build this thing," but he was like kind of reserved. And I remember leaving the dinner. This is advice if you ever raise money. I gave him this advice, but he didn't take it. I said, after he's like gonna pay for dinner, take me out to dinner to give him advice. I said, "You're gonna expense that, right?" I think they had just raised money from Rustic at that time. "You're gonna expense it?" He's like, "Oh no, I'm gonna pay for myself." I'm like, first rule, you just raised VC money, don't pay for dinners yourself, use the VC money. And he was like, "No, I'm not gonna do it." I guarantee he pays for dinners with VC money now. He learned. So anyway, Alon's gonna talk about SEO and what they've done. If you've never seen their site, like amazing how they've been able to get so many millions of people to their site. It's pretty incredible what they've done over the last, how many years? 6 years, 7 years?
5+ years.
5, amazing. So I'm interested in hearing what you have to say, and all these guys are as well, so take it away.
Thank you. So first, save it for later. I want to thank Jeff and Oded and Paul for inviting me here. Definitely going to have some fun talking about a boring topic like SEO. Try to make you guys laugh at least. So show of hands, how many of you guys are entrepreneurs starting a business? The rest of you? For the food. Okay. How many of you guys are interested, like SEO is relevant for your business? All right, so everyone. How many of you guys know what SEO is? Okay, so I'm going to skip a lot of slides. So the goal really here, what I'm trying to achieve is to explain how we DocStock are making money from search engine traffic. Okay, so I'm going to go through really quickly through some basic fundamentals. My goal is really to give you a lot of tips and actual ideas of how to go home or to the office and use it on your own products, on your own businesses. That's the goal, not to have some theoretical discussion about use these tags and whatnot, right? It's to really give you tools. And if you have any questions about why we're doing, how we're doing, stop me in the middle and ask questions. So I'm here for you. Okay, let's start. So obviously, that's where Google is giving all the money, right? And the black art. So there is some black there. So about me, really quickly, I've been a technology entrepreneur for a long time. I won't tell you how old I am. The white hair will give me. Multiple startups. I'm writing code when no one else is looking and know that I'm writing code. As a CTO, I'm not allowed. Actually, my developer is threatening repeatedly to revoke my SVN access. I haven't done it yet, at least I hope so. I like photography, also hiking, other stuff, and I was trying to find some embarrassing picture of myself. So I'm the guy over there. So this was end of 2 years ago. We took the company to Hurricane Harbor or whatever it is, and had some fun with the company. So one thing we do definitely is at the end of every year, it's not SEO related, but I'm just going to show you anyways, and show off a little bit. We do these great adventures or something fun. So This year was an okay year, so we didn't do anything crazy. But the year before, we took everyone to Vegas for 2 days, weekend, and had a lot of fun. I can't tell you anything about it because it was in Vegas, but I'll leave it up to you to imagine what did we do there. So a little bit about Dockstock SEO, blah, blah, blah. You'll see the agenda, right? About Dockstock. So really quickly, why am I here? So Dockstock pretty much is a large repository of documents. We also have videos, articles, courses now. So if you know things like Udemy or what's the other one? Right. All of these courses, basically we do things, but our focus is on small businesses. So anything small businesses need to their business, from legal documents, business, finance, tax, HR, anything like that we do. We're 5 years old, currently 27 million unique visitors per month. That's actually an improvement from last year. We have about 32 million registered members. There's people that gave us their email address, right? Not necessarily paying. 35 million documents. This actually, after we purge, I'll talk about it later. We actually had about 45 million. We deleted a lot of them, and I'll explain why later. Overall, since we start, 650 million unique visitors since we launched, visit our site, which is double the US size. We have 110,000 subscribers. There are people that pay money repeatedly, right? Subscribers. And we're profitable for a long time. And SEO. So we'll talk about also. We are playing in a long tail. Anyone knows what long tail is?
Yes.
What is long tail?
Infrequently viewed content. Infrequently viewed stuff.
Okay. Any other ideas what long tail is?
Revenue over time. Revenue over the lifetime of your product.
Okay.
Extended.
Okay.
Many deviations from the fattest part of what people are maybe searching for. So a less popular search term.
Okay.
Or content that might be more obscure.
Good.
Everything
Everything
is.
is.
You have hits like the big movie hits, but the long tail is all the stuff that you might have people only needing a very particular thing. But there's 4 people that need that, and so it's the documents that are less big hits that are less needed, but there's 32 million of them.
Right. Any other ideas? I mean, it's all true, but Emmanuel. Emmanuel is our new QA. We just joined us 3 days ago. 2 days ago? 3 days ago?
Yeah.
You better have the right answer then.
Man.
It's the
Yes,
idea,
Emmanuel.
It's the idea that if you add up all of the really popular stuff that has a ton of hits, but the long tail, it might be 1 or 2 views, but if you add all of those up, it makes up much more in total than just if you just took like the top 10 or something.
Okay. Any other ideas? Yes.
For SEO,
For SEO.
more than 3 keywords. More than 3 keywords.
What do you mean?
More than 3 keywords.
Oh, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So long tail really is a long snake. No. So long tail really is everything you guys mentioned, right? So it's all these terms are 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever words in length that are very infrequent. So someone in a year will type that thing in, and that will lead somewhere, right? So long tail is when you're playing where you're not looking for, in our term, like business plan, right? That's not a long tail, right? Long tail would be business plan template for starting in Santa Monica. That would be a long tail, right? And there very different ways of doing SEO or building your sites to attract search engine traffic. If you're focusing on long tail, or if you're focusing on head terms, which is the other side, right? I will not talk about head terms at all. We have hundreds of thousands of terms each day, right? So imagine that. If you go down to Google Analytics and you look at the terms, there are these most obscure things that you can ever imagine that anyone in their life will ever type, right? And they're getting to us. That is really what long tail is all about. Our revenue model. So we actually make money, obviously, hence the profitability part. 70% from subscription, which is the new thing. I'll talk about how to make money even if you're not growing from search engine traffic, right? 25 from ads. Obviously, before subscription, we're 75% from ads. Highly encourage you guys to move to subscription, whatever you're thinking. Out of the 35% 35 million documents, 31 million leads of subscriptions, so obviously more is better. That said, obviously too much is not good now in the new SEO world, and again, we'll talk about that SEO changes all the time, right? SEO today is not what it was 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, or 4 years ago when we launched our company, and you'll see the penalties that you get if you don't stay awake and notice these things. And we're playing the long tail, as I mentioned. Okay, so this, I usually don't share that, but I will share with you guys. So this is our history, right? This is our squeeze 6 years into a slide. We launched here, and we started growing, and around April of 2010, a thing called Mayday happened, which no one really, it's not as popular as Panda, right? Google changed their algorithm, didn't tell anyone. Anyone, that's how when they did it a year later. And you see that cliff over there, that financial cliff over there? And it comes after this huge growth, right? So we were growing pretty nicely, and everyone like, board meeting, high five. You guys are sandbagging us. You guys hit the, whatever, hockey stick, right? And we're like, guys, it's crazy, right? And we started going down 10% week over week. We lost 55% of our size in 5 weeks. Right, so imagine, you know the movie, what movie was that? Back to the Future, right? Where, what's his name, the main actor is playing a guitar and he's fading away and he sees his arm fading, right? That's basically what I felt, right? And the company is like 55% in 5 weeks. 50% or 55, whatever. So clearly at some point it started stabilizing. We did a lot of things. Grow, Panda hits again, same thing. Penguin, and you can see that pretty much we didn't grow for a long time, the last 2 years. And I like that spike towards now, which is really the present right over there at the end, right? I'm only hoping to be followed by that. So we're doing a lot of things now that we didn't know before, and for some time we didn't focus on SEO. Basically said, can I use the F word here? Like that. We're going to focus on something else. So if I overlay our revenue graph here, it will be up all the time, right? We double revenue year over year. So there is a way to make money even if you're not growing from traffic, right? So what is SEO and why should you care, right? So definition, search engine optimization is the process, right, which is repeating, of affecting visibility of websites or web pages in search engines, natural or organic search results, right? So that's from Wikipedia, which is the truth, obviously. So the important part here is the process, right? This is ever changing. The fact you're ranking high now means nothing. You can rank tomorrow differently. There's a whole process of sandbox, whatever. I'll touch upon that. Why should you care? Because it's free, right? It's not SEM, it's not marketing, it's not, you're not paying for traffic, you're not paying for advertisements, it's free, it's awesome. It's easy, you know, there's basic rules you follow, create millions of pages, put high quality content, unique. So it's somewhat free, right? It's somewhat easy, it's not completely easy. It can scale, obviously, you know, with good example, and it's proven, right? There are certain principles you follow, you will get traffic, right? It's not that rocket science, honestly. The whole SEO experts, it's not rocket science. Why should you be, you know, if this is what you care, why should you be careful? Because it changes all the time. So it's not something that once you figure it out, you can rely on it to stay forever. And that's true in business overall, right? Business changes all the time, but it's definitely true in SEO. You don't control how much it will scale. You can put 1 million pages, 10 million pages, 5 pages. It's really not, you can't really control what will be indexed, right? You can encourage it and do all kind of things that we'll talk about, but at the end of the day, you don't control it. And which is really the final point is what we discovered, and now I'm discouraging you guys really now, but still, it's the truth. Your company's growth is going to be completely dependent on someone else's whims. All right? That's very scary, right? So Google will decide how much your company will grow. That's what you get for free, right? You get what you pay for, right? So it's great. Definitely encourage all of you guys to focus a lot on SEO if this is something that important to your business, which I guess is what you hear. But just know in the back of your head, at some point, you will need to diversify. You need to find other ways of attracting customers, users to your site. And SEO is very addictive and very, because it's free, it scales. Just remember, there's this God called Google that's controlling you, and he or she will, to be fair, I don't know if Google is he or she, will cap you at some point. But until then, it's all fun and great, and woohoo, we're scaling, right? So let's talk about that. Obviously Google is the big boy. Focus on Google, right? There's all kind of things that you can do that's generic to Bing or Yahoo or Google. Honestly, just focus on whatever Google tells you. If it's people like Matt Cutts and others, just do what Google says. Moving target, we talked about rules change, things move slow, but they're much faster than they used to be. So when we started 5+ years ago, 6 years ago, I really had to make a change, wait 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, till things start to appear. Today, things are so fast, you put something and 10 seconds later, really, it's already on Google, right? So it's not as slow as it used to be, but it's still, if you make massive changes to your site, it will take time for things for crawls to come, pages to be indexed. We'll talk about the whole flow, right? Content. So I'm gonna blast through this. Obviously, you guys know all that. Original content, don't put replicated content. High quality. What is high quality? That's driving me crazy. High quality, right? So don't do bad things, right? Don't auto-generate code, whatever content. Some people do that. Keyword stuffing, all kind of short paragraphs. Just put something useful, right? Comments, updates, things to make sure that your content can refresh itself. We actually are not good at that. I'll admit it right now. We don't update our content that often. We call it evergreen. So cool, right? These documents are evergreen. They don't need to be updated at all. But if it's other type of content, it's not documents, definitely. Interconnected, so related recommendations feature, make sure things go, you never get to a dead end. That said, there are things like hierarchy that we'll talk about. So make sure things are going down a certain way. So the site is not completely messy. You go in and there's all kind of, make sure the site is structured. There's a lot of things we can talk about that. If you have questions, we can talk about it later. But things on the site should be hierarchical, right? So you go in, when the crawler goes in or user go in, there are categories, it goes in, and then when you get to the leaf, which is in our case, document page, or if it's an article page, or if it's a video page, or if it's whatever, your product page, make sure they're interconnected, right? It's important for crawlability. Obviously, in-links, easier said than done, obviously, right? You need to have in-links. A site with no in-links is a dead site. Simple as that. It doesn't matter how good quality you have. And I can tell you about ourselves, we have www.doxer.com, and we also have premium.doxer.com, which is all original, high quality, changing, interconnected, hierarchical. We don't have any links, and we don't have any traffic. So in-links is a must. Social links, I talked to someone before about social, and how important social is. It is important. How important it is, in my opinion, talking to people, it's the future, still not the present. So don't spend all of your time on driving in my opinion. Okay, some specific tips, right? This is important. Titles, guys, use the right title. This is, if you do something right, pick the right title. This is the most important thing in SEO, is the title. So use Google AdWords. I'll give you some screenshots that give you examples to pick the right title. So some titles are very competitive. Some titles have a certain amount of traffic. You can figure it out just by running a tool like this. When you put like business plan template, you can see exactly how competitive it is. Obviously, this is for AdWords, but it doesn't matter. It just tells you how many people are actually searching for this, and you can just figure out based on the scale. So obviously, it's better to put this than just generic, and then you give some other examples. This is great, right? Yeah.
So essentially, the title should match the best keyword.
Yes. If the title should be something that's not too competitive. So obviously, business plan template is crazy competitive, right? So try to pick something else that's not that competitive, that you have some kind of chance of ranking. Pick something that is, so between, I should have expanded this. I can show you guys later. so let's say this will be something else, 90,000 versus 300,000. The numbers don't matter. What matters is just the fact that some title has more search around it, right? So use things like that. There's also Google Trends, same thing, right? Give you some ideas of so free business plan, search for more. So pick the right title. Obviously description, import, URL structure. I see a lot of sites that have these, like book ID, whatever, this is an example, right? We're not in 1995 anymore, guys, it's not. The best thing is have a single level. So your domain and then the title. Developers will tell you, which I'm part of that community, that's really hard and lookups, and they'll give you, from pure SEO, this is the best. If you have to have some kind of categorization, you can definitely use not more than 3. There's a new trick, there's a trick that you can use a category at the end, that's like dash whatever. So it's still one level, and it gives Google or search engines some kind of hierarchical hints, which is really what they're looking for, is relevancy, right? That's where it actually helps, is relevancy, to understand that Harry Potter is actually in fantasy, and their crawlers or their indexes are pretty smart to understand, take all these hints and use it. So we talked about that. Questions so far? Anyone? Oh, I'm running really fast. There's like 150 slides. Not that many.
So after Google makes changes to their algorithm, how do you reverse engineer what you're doing so that it improves your search again?
Great question. There is no easy way. There is no way.
Just trial and error.
Right. It's just talking to people in the industry, reading blog posts, trial and error.
Yeah. Okay.
If there was any easy way of gaining, things are so much more complicated now. On one hand, on the other hand, they're simpler because Google is really specific in telling you what to do, right? So for older companies like that, 5 years old, it's more complicated because of the mass content that we have. So now shifting is just so much harder. For example, if today hierarchical structure of the site is so important, to take 40 million or 30 something million documents and start building a hierarchy around that is really hard, right? But if you're starting today, start hierarchical, right? So just keep up, it's a good question. There is no easy way. Yep.
So your comment about the title and using the keyword tool is very insightful. I wonder how you did that at scale. So it's a content aggregator with millions of pages.
Right. So obviously at scale it will not work.
Is there an API for?
There is an API.
Okay.
Yeah, everything Google has an API. You can probably build something. We didn't. So we used this for our smaller sites, like premium or license 1, 2, 3 that have thousands of, maybe a few 10,000 or so, and then we'll just give it to some people to manually do it, right? So we didn't build any technology around that.
Is there a service? Has someone built that?
I don't know. That's actually a good idea for a startup.
Let's talk about it later.
Yeah, let's talk about it later. So, in order to rank, right, which is the final point there, right? So you need to appear in Google. Someone is typing something. You want the results to be on page 1. By the way, do you guys know the distribution between page 1, 2, 3? Like what percentage of people that go click on a link are coming from page 1?
90.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's something ridiculous like that. Like if you're not on page 1, even the first 5 search results or 3, you basically don't even exist, right? It's insane. Like no one goes to page 2. I mean, think about yourself. How often do you guys go to page 2, right? And then there's it's crazy. So you want to rank really high. There are certain things you need to do in order to get there, right? It's not like I'm just going to put a page and put some links and no, it's a process. So let's go through the process. So obviously we talked about creating a content, right? So original, high quality, whatever we just discussed. Now what? Crawling. Probably one of the most, least fun part or kind of sexy parts of SEO is really the crawling part, which is really where Google's crawlers or Bing or whatever come in. They're little machines and read your pages, right? They read the HTML of your web servers. So they go follow every link, and basically spiders go and read all the HTML and take all that data and put it in their index, right? And then they massage it. So what do you do? What do you need to do in order to make sure that these crawlers that come, the spiders, are actually happy? Obviously, make sure they're accessible, right? There are so many sites I see that block their sites under there's just no way to get to some of the content, right? It's just a common mistake. Just make sure it's open. No, it just makes sense, but still. Sitemap, and frequently refresh it. So we build a sitemap generator that's running every day, rebuilding all the links and submitting it to all these search engines, right? So every day we're sending a ping. Here's the site. Here's the sitemap. We'll talk about how to build. We won't talk about that, but there is a way to build sitemaps as a single file or as a sitemap index. I'll show you examples of why it's better to build a sitemap index and build smaller sitemaps. It will help you to understand how many of your pages are actually indexed. This is another important thing. So as much as you want Google or search engine to crawl your site, you want to make sure they're not crawling some parts. This is to prevent duplicate content. So for example, if you have a category or a browse page and you can sort it by price or whatever it is, right? Importance or relevancy. All these are basically creating unique URLs, right? All these links are links that the crawler will go and click. You want to make sure that you're not blocking all of these variations of the exact same content, just sorted differently, because that's duplicated content. Make sure to block it. Other things that's really important tip that I've learned. Yeah.
How do you think about infinite scroll sites for this sort of thing?
Actually, it's a great question. So Google actually came up with a way of supporting that, so that you can actually do it perfectly now. There is a way. I don't know the exact. There's a tag like that, not nofollow obviously, but something else that allows Google to just continuously crawl. They support it. So they used to support only paging. They support now continuous scrolling. Just Google it and you'll find. Yeah, or you can pick it. Repeat crawl. So also you want to make sure you're not. You're not losing SEO juice, as it's called, right? That goes to pages you don't care about. So every page has a footer with probably 50 links on them that repeats, and all these, the crawler goes, and all these, whatever page has some SEO value, whatever the page rank is, actually goes into all these other pages. You want to block the footer other than on the homepage. Block it on every other page. You're just losing value from the pages. No follow and other things. So just again, make sure to be smart about that. Another important thing is that super important is make sure your sites are fast. This is from us, right? This is true as of yesterday night, 12 o'clock, when I created this presentation. Look at this, okay? So what we see here is time spent downloading a page. So how fast does Google crawler take to actually get the first byte from our servers? In milliseconds, right? So this is pretty fast, right? This is how many pages were crawled every day. So when we were about, I don't know, like a second, it was 800,000. And as soon as we started becoming faster, they start crawling more. And as soon as we became slower, they start crawling less. And you can see that exact correlation to the day. The faster your site, the more Google will crawl you, which is really good, obviously, right? You want Google to crawl your pages a lot. Make the site fast. And this is not the user experience side. This is, so not like how long it takes the page to render, right? This is how fast your servers respond. How fast it takes, so again, for the first byte to read. So that basically means making sure your database are fast, your web servers optimized, all this back-end stuff. Super important. There is direct correlation between, not just that, so the more, and again, all that makes sense, of course. Faster site, Google will send you traffic. Well, it's proven. If I'll put on top of that, overlay on top of that our traffic growth, same thing, right? Faster site, higher traffic. Can't emphasize it enough. Okay, another thing. So we used to have like 120,000. This is like one page. If you go to Google Webmaster Tools, we used to have a lot of errors. And we slowly fixed a lot of them. And again, just make sure you're fixing your errors. I'm not going to talk too much about that. You can set crawler rate. Don't want to spend too much time on that. Obviously, Ajax won't be seen. No cloaking. You guys know what cloaking is? Showing content, one type of content for the user and different type of content for the bots. It's called cloaking. No. So watch all these stats every day, guys. Things change very quickly. Out of a sudden, you can have these spikes in errors or spiking crawlability. You saw crawlability just goes really up and down. Just make sure your site is fast. And if all possible, track everything yourself, right? So we have, you can use logs or whatever, just track how many times Google or any crawler hits your site. And you'll see there are a lot of types of crawlers. There's obviously Facebook crawlers, there are LinkedIn crawlers, there are a lot of types of crawlers that are not just search engine. Yeah.
With respect to what you were saying before about the no-follow links in the footer, wouldn't Google recognize that the content's the same and not care? I mean, I guess my question is why tell Google not to look at content on your site?
First of all, because they tell you to do that, so that's part of what they're asking you to do. Yeah. And at the end, I'll give you an example. I answer that by example, right? I truly believed before that sitemaps are not important. The most smartest company, richest company, biggest company in the world, right? It has all the smart people from all these math experts. Why do they need this old sitemap BS, right? Can't they just crawl everything and figure out? I mean, they have the computing power, that only the CIA has. No, a few days our sitemap was not generating and was off, our traffic went down, our crawlers went down. Things that make sense don't always make sense, right? This is from our experience. So again, if you can track it, that will give you better, if you can track how many times a crawler comes to your site and crawl it, and basically based on user agent, right? So they tell you specifically like Google's using Googlebot, there are few, but basically Googlebot, and you can Google all of that and find out exactly what is the user agent of these crawlers, and you track it yourself, it will give you more visibility and really real time, because when you see that, I don't have an example of, some days we went down because issues on the site, immediately red alert, right? So crawling is the first step. So now we're talking about you make sure that all your pages are being crawled. Google can actually go, get in, and read all your content. Now it needs to be indexed. So you need to obviously there's a place on Google Webmaster Tool and the Bing Webmaster Tool will show you how many pages were indexed high level. But you really don't know what is being indexed, right? You don't know if this page or that page was indexed. So what you do, for example, one trick we found is to break down into smaller sitemaps, and this is 10,000 each one, right? So it's not that small, which gives us visibility a little bit more into, and these are based on category, like is legal category indexed correctly? Is the business category indexed okay? So we give us some more visibility into what is indexed and what's not. I don't know if you guys know this modifier, so site, colon, and you can see roughly how many pages are indexed. You can put all kind of other modifiers, so site.com/docs will show me how many doc pages are indexed right now. It's not exactly, this is exactly how many pages are indexed, but it gives you some kind of idea. You can also, you actually used to do it based on time filter as well, like last 24 hours. They don't allow it anymore. Well, they do allow it, but don't show you how many pages were indexed in the last 24 hours, which was really nice. So again, keep track. Ranking. So that's where you want to be, right? That's where you want to be, ranked high. So obviously traffic is a factor of ranking, right? So what we do, we go to Google Analytics, and today we had a high day. Tomorrow we'll have a low day, right? But there's step before looking at the traffic is ranking, making sure that your pages are ranked. So we figure out that there's somewhat of a way to figure out what's indexed and what's not. How do you figure out what's ranked? what is even in the repository, right? So there's all kind of things like that, different sites and tools allow you to check. Long tail, millions and millions and millions of search terms. Obviously, there's no way to know for sure what is being ranked. Obviously, it depends on a search term. So what you do, you just take a small sample that represents, if you have only a few keywords that you care about, then you take these. You plug it into any one of these tools. There are many, many others, and you get some kind of graph like that that shows you out of the such and such keywords, how many of them are on first page of Google, second to 10th page, and not index at all. And hopefully you'll start seeing that green thing grows, right? So this is a little bit of a barometer, some kind of trick that helps you understand what is, are you going in the right direction with Google or the wrong direction? Right, so does that make sense? Cool. Okay, so now we're going to the money part. Any questions about the mechanics? Yes?
I have one question about it. Can you elaborate on you said no URL parameters, but the way I think about it is only if a URL parameter is meant to be SEOing, should you not make it a question mark, blah, blah, blah. But if it's not for SEO purposes, but just internal, then it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Although, I think it's, from user experience, it's pretty
It's ugly,
annoying.
Yeah,
Right?
totally.
It won't kill you, but I will never come to your site. I'm joking.
You're not invited.
The point, obviously, to SEO is to drive traffic to your site so you can make money, right? In my mind, the only point, obviously, of getting a lot of users to your site is to monetize it. I mean, we are very, DocStock is very for-profit organization, so that's what we care about traffic. So traffic is the beginning of the sales funnel. So funnel really is obviously how things go from one step to another in that sales cycle. Why did I put it there? Okay, 10-second rule, pretty random. Just remember that 70% of your revenue will come from people that spending, that 10 seconds. So there's a lot of people will jump off the site very quickly, right? Think about your behavior, right? How do you search, right? You type something in Google, hit enter, or immediately it appears, obviously. You don't have to click enter because it's so difficult. And you click the first, and then immediately hit back. How much time do you spend on that page before you hit back? Less than 10 seconds. So a lot of, just if you're not familiar with that behavior, just know that a lot of sites that are SEO'd will have a huge bounce rate. More likely than not, that what you have on the site is either loading way too slow, but we talked about that you have to make a really fast site, or it's just not relevant for what people search. As good as Google is, it's pretty awesome. They're making a guess, the best calculated guess of what matches your search term. So just know that you need to keep people on the site, right? If it's not what you're looking for, bring related, do some other tricks. Yep.
Just bounce rate, if you could talk about just industry standard bounce rate, what's a high rate, low rate?
Industry, which industry?
Well, I mean, just for what you're doing.
We have a pretty high bounce rate, right? Like 60-some%, right? So a lot of people that come to our site, I would say, again, 70%, 65% of people that come to our site leave in less than 10 seconds. That's a lot.
That's not out of the 35 million or whatever number.
Well, every day, right? Every day, like 1 million plus people come. A lot of them leave in the first 10 seconds, which is insane, right?
I think if you're under 50%, you're like a magician. So.
Right. It's just the nature of the beast, right? I don't know how often you guys stay on the first result you got from Google, right? It's just that's the way we are. We have no patience. We wonder, right?
Look at your own line and improve it. That's the only thing you need to do.
Right. So there's obviously a lot of things you can do. You can try to keep them. There's all kind of mechanisms. I'm not going to go into that. That's the black part. But you want to keep them, right? Now the good thing is you know exactly what you're looking for, right? This is the awesome thing about Google. That refer will tell you exactly what is the search term that you typed in. So you can be a little bit more intelligent about how to put additional content based on the search term that you put in. So if someone typed business plan, and I'm bringing up some business plan, or someone typed vacation to Hawaii, and I bring some package of that, I understand that they're looking for that one thing. I can be a little bit more intelligent and bring some other related content, some other activities. If they're trying to leave, I may encourage them to look at something else, right? So at least for that fraction of a second, you know what you're looking for. Obviously, you don't know anything more about them. You don't know if they're looking for how to bake a cake. Does it mean that they're a baker, or does it mean that they're looking to make a surprise party for their wife, right? And make a cake for her. So just use that refer, which actually becomes even more difficult now because Google became, Google by default is secured now, right? So for the most part, you will not get that refer anymore, so you won't know what the people typed. But you will know it for a pretty big chunk of people. Follow up. 30% of our revenue from subscription comes from emails that we send. So even if people leave, try to get their email. Try to get them to log in using Facebook. Try to get them to engage a little bit so you can follow up with them. Just because people jumped off doesn't mean you can't get them through a back channel. 30% is a lot. Okay, example of a funnel. So this is again how to make money, right? So search engine result page. You type get result. This goes to our document page, or I'll show you exactly how it looks. But this is basically what a funnel is. You want to make sure that when people go in from a search page, they get to the bottom line as fast as possible, which is buying something, right? That's the idea, at least for us, right? It doesn't have to be buy money, but buy something. It means do whatever they want to do. So if they want them to leave a review, leave a comment, upload a movie, whatever it is that you want them to do, just make sure they're getting there through that funnel. And every site needs to, by definition, has a funnel, right? They're landing on a page, there's a call to action, they're clicking on that call to action, they're moving to a next step. That's your funnel, right? So this is an example of our funnel, but every site has a funnel. Make sure you're tracking that, right? You can improve what you don't track. If you don't have some report of how many people are here, or how many clicks, or whatever it is, the measurement that you're tracking, you have to track it. If you don't track, you can't improve it. Track it now, that's your baseline, work on improving it, and we'll talk how to improve it. Make sure that funnel is as short as possible. Don't have 7 steps until they get like every step, that's why it's shorter, right? People are like, okay, I'm done with this, and just jumping off, right? Make sure it's short as possible. So let me show you how it works for us, right? Google team. Click on something, you'll land on a page, right? This is our site. Let me actually talk about a little bit about the amount of ads that we have on our site. A lot. This is actually the content, it starts here, so it's completely insane. But from our experiments that we've done it a few times, taking the ads off didn't make any significant difference in the behavior of our users. Meaning the exact same people left, the exact same page views, pretty much, within maybe 5%, 10% variation, right? Time on site was the same, revenue was the same. Obviously we lost ads revenue, right? But our subscription revenue didn't grow that much.
These ads account for what percent of your ad revenue?
30%.
30% of all revenue, or 30% of your ad revenue?
About 25 to 30% of our entire site.
That is.
Right. Shitload of ads, of course. So the point is, it's not related to SEO, but I'm just saying, don't be afraid of ads, right? There's money there. And you can always run experiments to see, do A/B testing, or just what we sometimes do, we call it AA testing, right? Just run it one day this, one day that. Obviously, it's not scientific, but if it's not big enough, it doesn't really matter. So it's not about being scientific with testing sometimes, it's just getting, if it's not a big win, then it doesn't really matter. So people come here, they click on download or print. What do they see? Registration. We want to get their email first, so we can follow up with them. If they're interested enough to put email, to enter their email, they see this is one of our experiments. I'll show you a lot of, this is basically our purchase page, right? This is where you need to do a lot of experiments. This goes a little bit beyond SEO, but I'll definitely go there. And then when they buy, they're now in our premium site. So the funnel is really 3-4 steps. Questions? Yes.
Yeah, can you actually get your visitors' email from Facebook? I didn't think they did that anymore.
Yes.
Are you asking for an extra permission in your Facebook app, or?
I don't think so. I don't think we change much. I think it's just whatever permissions. I don't remember honestly. We definitely get the email. That's why we have it there.
Okay.
We have no value in any of the social aspect of things other than get the email.
What's the percentage of visitors that choose to log in through social media versus?
Facebook for us about 20%, which is, I definitely wish there would be more, but it is. So what are we trying to improve? We're trying to improve for us, it's improving revenue, right? Shocking. Yes. Our methodology. Price testing. So I'm just gonna rush through that. The way we actually, so this is a little bit beyond SEO, but hopefully it'll be interesting. This is how to make money from SEO, right? More interesting. We started by testing, before even improving anything on the site is just you want to establish our baseline, right? What is the highest revenue you can make from these users? So we started doing a lot of price testing, and again, I'm talking about revenue. You can look at it from whatever you're trying to achieve your user, whatever you want your user to do, right? If it's to upload something, download something, leave a review, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever it is, right? Hopefully at some point you guys will be interested in revenue. So don't be afraid of test pricing, right? So a little story, we started with monthly at like $3, $3.99 or $2.99 or something ridiculous low like that. And that was monthly, and annual at $10, I don't know, something low. Every week or every few days, we raised the price by like $2 or $4 and calculated the lifetime value. So, which really means assuming subscribers will stay for 3 months, 2 months, 4 months, whatever it is you imagine it will be, based on your assumptions. You see how many people convert, you multiply that by the lifetime value, and you get some number, right? Times the, obviously, revenue you'll get from the actual price. We did a lot of that in the early days on an HTML page. We didn't build the product at all. There was no way of actually charging anyone's credit card. There was no subscription. We built a page, we let people put their credit card, we didn't save it obviously, we didn't charge them, we just counted how many people actually had the intent of paying. And of course, everyone in the company were like, wow, what do you want? People complain and will worry, and like, really? We're not charging their credit card, why would they complain? No one complained, don't worry. Feel free to run any smoke test you want, seriously guys. Before you invest time in building your technology, run whatever insane test you want on an HTML page. We've done it, we survived, saved us a lot of time. Of course we realized like, holy shit, we hit a jackpot, right? We obviously went and built it, but for a month plus we tested on an HTML page.
How close was the price elasticity after you account for failed credit cards and A/B mismatches and other stuff versus the initial price elasticity you predicted?
That's a great question. Pretty close. I mean, there's no
10%, 5%, 20%.
So right now, failures are, well, there's a big difference, right? US is vastly different than international. US failure is about 10%. International can go to 40%. Failure rate of credit cards, right? Now, obviously, we have our own gazillion filters based on IP and geographic, and we're blocking certain countries. And
Nigeria, Albania, Jamaica.
I'm not going to mention names, but yes, places that you get the bad emails from. These are what we're blocking as well, right? So, and yes, no one is buying from these countries anyway, right? It's mostly stolen credit cards, and then you have to deal with refunds and chargebacks, and which is a whole different talk that I'll have to give later some other time. Then obviously test the pages, right? So layouts, ad positioning, view, all kind of things. Whatever you can test, right? There's nothing that you should not test. Everything should move. Everything should. We tested color buttons, right? The text on the button. Is it download? Download now. Download free. Get now. Get it now. Apparently, download was the best. That was why it's still there. So yeah, these buttons, right? Another thing we discovered. We had download for a long time. And then we build tracking. This is a flash viewer, blah, blah, which is going to die pretty soon. We build tracking here. And this is a small screenshot. There's a little printer button here that if it's a little bit wider, you would have seen. And I build this tracking to this flash to understand what people are doing. Basically, Google Analytics for this. How many people are scrolling. And we discovered that people are clicking that little dinky download print button, right? And it obviously opened the printer, and people could print the document without paying us money.
Right.
And I didn't believe that so many, a lot, okay? When we put that print button there, our revenue jumped by 20%. So some people don't want to download. Some people want to print. What in the hell of God people want to print? Just download and print, right? No. 20% people want to print, right? So you can never imagine what to test and what not to test, right? So nothing makes sense, right? And some people, always people ask me why. For example, we did also a lot of testing on AdSense and changed fonts and all kind of things, and we got interesting results. And I sometimes mention these results. For example, we changed our AdSense to font Carrier New, which is that old typewriter fixed, right? Ad revenue jumped by 20%. And immediately everyone was like, why? I don't care. I don't care. I really don't. You know what I care? They jumped 20%. Okay, so yeah, I care it jumped. I care that the point is test, right? Test as much as possible. It's search engine traffic. People come in for whatever reason you can never imagine. Just test different things. And the wonderful thing is, you have this infinite flood of people coming every day, and tomorrow new people will come. So even if you have issues or bugs or whatever, it's not good, but you know what? Tomorrow, a lot of new people will come and you can test with them as well. It's not test your site, right? This is not QA testing I'm talking about, Emmanuel, right? I'm talking about testing money. So they're putting different positions. Price testing, yes. I mean, we have like 400 and something tests we've done so far. This is from a few months ago. So, how many variations of a landing page can you test, right? So if you would test this, you would move things around, change the colors. Now what we're doing is completely different pages, completely different layout. And you can just go crazy, right? And the point is, don't be shy at just testing small things and moving this and changing. Swing for the fences, right? Make massive changes. Make massive changes. And this is one that won recently. You know why? I don't care, right?
The arrow.
I don't care why it won. Well, it probably is the arrow, it's the big monstrosity. Yes?
What ends up being a significant sample? Is it number of users, or you do it for a week, or is it
Great
a time
question.
frame? What's the...
So for us, it needs to be statistical significant, which for us is based on subscription, how many sales we got, which for us is at least 100, or 100 in A and B, right? So it's 200 purchases. That's what we discovered for us, based on our funnel, is statistical significantly enough.
So once you've accumulated 200 sales, then you look at
The test ends.
behaviors.
Right. The test ends, whichever one becomes the new baseline, and we're putting a new page against it. And if it's not good enough, the base stays. Okay, pretty much. We talked about all of that. track everything. Okay, I'm actually gonna pause now. 50 minutes of talking is too much. Okay, let's open it up for questions. Yes.
I would love to know, do you use any tools to track the tests you're running?
So we build a lot of tools ourselves.
Okay.
All of our A/B testing is built in-house. All of our reports are all in-house. You can definitely use things like analytics to start collecting data, or there are many other tools you can use. For us, because of the volume, it just makes sense to build something and it's core to our business. It just makes sense to build it. You can definitely find free tools to track. Just track. It doesn't matter what you use.
Sure, like a spreadsheet.
Right. Yes.
Does SEO actually negatively impact if you use WordPress or a different technical platform to build a site in?
I don't think it should matter, as long as again the fundamentals are there. If your HTML is full of tables and other bad things and huge with big images, it doesn't really matter if you build yourself or it's from a tool. Today's all these blogging tools today are really great. I mean, they know what to do. They super optimize it, and you can put all these plugins that even optimize even more. Awesome. Yes.
I got a question. We've been playing with authorship on some of our stuff, mostly on the content side of things, where it makes sense. But we've also got like a site similar to yours where kind of an authorship, the vast majority of the content, the authorship model doesn't necessarily lend itself well. You know what I mean? I would think you guys would have a hard time like going, oh, this particular document, here's the actual author. I mean, but are you playing with that kind of thing? Or?
Yes, so we put for our documents, we generate content ourselves. So out of the 30-something million documents, we generated ourselves about 10,000, 12,000 pieces of content, really. The best document. Seriously, if any of you need any kind of legal business, let me know, I'll give you guys free subscription. These are really great documents. For these, we use authorship. We also use all kind of other, like the schema rules, schema.org, micro formats. Do you need help?
I was gonna say you didn't help. The authorship hasn't made it. You know, on the content side of things, it's made a big difference, like on actual articles.
Right.
We've heard some good stories, but
Absolutely, you should. I mean, let me say, you absolutely should. You should use authorship. You should use the new micro formats, which is really the stars and how many reviews. And if you search and you see these on Google under the search result, there's like stars or whatever, or all kind of other micro data that you can put in, like an image, which is the authorship, right, of the person and a link to their profile on Google+. Absolutely use every trick in the book, right? Absolutely. It's just if you have to prioritize what you do. For us, that was far in the list. But for articles, I would definitely recommend it, or videos, right? Absolutely. Questions? Others? Yes.
How much time as a company do you think you spend on SEO?
Tremendous amount of time. In the beginning, it was all SEO. It was two things: getting content in. So very early, we didn't even, when me and Jason launched the site, we didn't even know what SEO is. At some point we realized, wait a minute, we put all this content in and people come. Ding. Let's pump a lot of content in, right? That's where it becomes pretty clear. The first 2 years of the company, we did nothing but work on SEO, improving the site, in links, pumping content. It was the only thing we did. The only thing. We did nothing but get content in and work on the site.
But then you also do buy AdWords as well.
We tried that for a long time. For us, it didn't work. For us, it works only for one product, which is called Custom Docs. Custom Docs is pretty much TurboTax for documents, if you will. So we're guiding you through a series of questions, and we generate a field template at the end. For that product, SEM worked. Even then, after like a year of attempts, it's really hard to make it work. Because two factors. One is the competitive terms. So go try to buy traffic for NDA. It's pretty expensive. What's that? That's one. And second is the price of the product. Right? So it's not. So for $2, $3, $4 a click, you can't have a product that you sell for $20 for a CEO conversion of whatever, 2%.
Right. So you end up gauging, saying it's worth more for us to spend money on SEO than the headers.
Yes, because SEO is, it just proved itself, right? It's simple as that. Now we tried SEM as well. We spent a lot of time and money on SEM as well, and other media. I mean, other media buying, and just SEO just still proved to be the one that's for us that's winning. Again, it's because of when you have a lot of when you're dealing with long tail. Think about it. You have to buy either so many keywords that drive you into so many pages that's just so hard to manage, and all the CPA and everything just the math doesn't work. So either you build some product that you sell for like $200 and you try to buy traffic to that has like, so we tried to build a package of 1,000 documents, right? Put $200 price range on that and still did not work. So for us, it was just not successful so far. Still awesome way to get it. Like, this is the future. If you, bottom line, try to get to SEM, right? Because that is under your control, more or less, much more than SEO. Yeah. Yes.
How do you do? So you've been talking all about the platform and the technology side, but then you need inbound links, and they don't come through an automation.
Yes.
How do you guys think about efficiently doing that? Does Jason Nazar go after his talks and recruit 80 interns?
Even Jason
to work for free?
is not that good. No, he's pretty good.
So how does it go down efficiently?
So for us, the trick that we found for in links is embeds.
Yeah.
So
You guys did a great
each
job
one
with
of
that.
these pages, right, that is flash viewers that you've seen, you can take them, the embed code, put it on your site. So if you look at Huffington Post and TechCrunch and others, they have our embed, which is basically like a YouTube embed, right? Instead of video, there's our document there. Under each document is a little link to our site. That's our in link. And we have many, hundreds of thousands of them. Not sure exactly how many by now, but a lot. There's just no way we could ever scale without this. Like, who would link to DocStock to some random document, right? I mean, it's crazy, right?
How important is mobile to your business?
Great question. So based on Google Analytics, about between 1% and 2% users are coming to our site using mobile. Our site is very not mobile friendly. I will admit it right now, which was one of what I thought, okay, so let's build it, right? So we have a competitor called Script. I don't know if you guys are familiar, Script.com, great site again. They have a really great mobile site. There's a site called Quantcast, which I'm not sure if you guys know. It's a great site to look at competitors because it's actually their analytics one-to-one. Their stats is exactly the same. 2% of their traffic comes from mobile, and they have a great mobile site. So for us, my conclusion was people that are looking for NDA, if they're coming from this, they're less likely to engage, or they're less likely to search, honestly. For a lot of other sites, highly recommend, of course. Right? I mean, mobile is the future. Absolutely. Build a mobile site, or at least a mobile-enabled site, right? Absolutely. It's the future. One last thing. I did read an article, I forgot who it was. It wasn't Matt Cutts, I forgot who. There was this rumor that search results on mobile phones are different than search results on desktops. That's not the case. So it's the case for very specific types of terms, but for the most part, it is one-to-one.
Actually, that depends if you logged into Google.
Right. So obviously, if you logged in, your source is in the My Results, right? But if you're logged in on this mobile device or this desktop, your results should be identical for the most part. So just a little piece of information. Yes.
Your end goal is revenue, but is there an ideal length you target for user engagement? 1 minute, 2 minutes?
No.
Okay. So is a
clearly more is better, but think about it this way. If people spend on Google 10 seconds or 1 minute, which one is better?
1 minute.
No, 10 seconds is better.
Because they're a bit more active.
Right, they just jump off. The whole purpose of Google is to get you off to whatever your destination is, right? So it's not as simple as more is better. It's really what you want them to do.
Okay. The action.
Right. Yep. But usually on sites, more is better. Longer than, yes.
How much do you care about other search engines? And do you see real differences? Like, let's say you only get 5% or 2% from Bing, but do you see real differences in terms of revenue?
How would I say it without offending Microsoft? Because we're really good partners.
I don't know if you can offend them.
We're not looking at it from a source standpoint. Like I'm not looking at it from revenue from, this is how much we got from Google versus Bing. We're just looking at from traffic standpoint that most of our traffic is coming from Google, and therefore I will just pay more attention to whatever Google tells me to do than what Bing's telling me to do.
And what traffic are you getting from, what's your total amount of traffic that you get from Google versus all of us combined?
Organic overall is about 75%, 70%.
25% is still a very large amount of traffic. So
Well, organic means Google and Bing and Yahoo and everyone else put together. 80% of that probably is Google, out of the organic. And the rest is refer and direct and email and other things. So the answer is, I don't dislike Bing. It's just I don't follow. It's not that critical, right? The point is most of both are following the same rules, right? If you build a good site, high quality, all of the things we talked about, it will. It's not like Bing has some weird, completely different set of rules. So it's not really relevant. You just build a good site and you get traffic from both.
Of all traffic sources, says Google and search engines provided to be the most high on conversion, revenue, etc. Or emails or other things, is there better conversion associated with that?
Good question. For us, still organic is still the highest. We are sending a lot of emails, and it still doesn't come close. And then, and think about it, all the emails we get are coming from organic anyways, right? And that fuels that as well. Questions? I'm gonna go one by one and have you ask. Yes.
Well, if you want to protect the reputation of your site, how important are the inbound links? Like, should I screen them before? Because I've received emails, people wanting to have the.
What is your site? I mean, that really depends on your site.
Pardon?
What is your site?
I sell moderate to higher end children's clothing. And, I think I want to preserve the integrity of, I don't know that I understand enough how the inlinks work to know, I just don't want necessarily.
What is your concern? Like, what is the worst thing that can happen?
Well, I don't know.
Bad neighborhood.
Well, I don't know. That's why I'm asking you if I should care about that.
It's a good question. I didn't think of it. What do you guys think?
Only if it's a bad neighborhood site run by Chinese hackers, otherwise take the link.
Yeah, I agree. I just look at it from a percentage standpoint, right? It's the likelihood of that happening versus if you can do it, if you can actually maintain it and still run the business, sure. I mean, screen it.
Well,
I
what do you mean
imagine.
by screen it? I'm not confused. When you're saying the inbound links that are coming into your site from other places?
People want to link to my site, but.
Yeah, I mean, you can't stop them per se.
No, you're talking about link exchange.
Yeah, like link exchange.
So if someone is sending you an email, it's like, hey, let's exchange links. Oh yeah, don't.
Yeah.
No. That's what you mean?
You'll
No.
get associated with them, and they're probably link farmers doing this with everyone.
Yeah, I will not do that. I will not do that.
Google.
Yeah, I will not do
Just
that.
gotta be real.
Google just cares about if you're buying links or not, right?
And linking out to link farms, I think. So that's when
Right,
you get in
sure,
trouble.
right,
You don't want to
exactly.
play those games unless you. I mean, you just don't want to play those games unless you really know what you're doing.
Right.
But in general, if you get an email from somebody saying let's trade links, don't. Like they're probably asking you to link out to some spammy sites, and that's one of the worst things you could do to
Right.
your site.
Okay. Thank
What
you.
he said. Anything else? So how are you guys going to make your site better tomorrow, today?
Taking a good night's sleep.
Yes.
I can see you guys, I don't think you guys have any kind of RSS feed, right?
We do.
You do?
We do.
It's like new contracts today or something like that?
So we build a lot of RSS feeds, like every category. We
Okay.
have hundreds of categories.
Do you think that affects ranking much? A lot? You talk about making it fresh and.
I haven't thought of our RSS feeds in a few years, so you just, honestly, it took me a few seconds to realize we do have RSS feeds.
No, you
I
work
guess
fast.
that's the answer, right?
The search
It's
results.
important, right? It's important. It's important.
But you don't focus on it in order to try and increase rankings, you don't know what.
No, maybe I should, though, right? Now that you
Yeah.
asked that question. I think it's important. People will syndicate that. That's another way of people to
Yeah.
consume your content. Absolutely. It depends on your site. If you're news site, blogger, or whatever, absolutely make sure that you have.
Well, you're a content site, so much like a newspaper or a blog in a way, they've got something to tell people
Right.
if they're interested in DAs.
For us, it less. What are you gonna do? I mean, we upload about 50 to 100,000 pieces of content every day. Do you really want to get a feed for that? Probably not.
Top 10 in my sector, environmental reports.
So, I think feeds
I
are. I
don't know.
absolutely agree. Feeds are important. It's where how do you get the right feed for you, right? That's
Yeah.
really what you should do. Is let people select, like filter it or get it either via feed or via an email or whatever it is. But absolutely, syndication is important, right? Clearly, I mean, you want your content to be out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Yep.
If you, I think Google probably doesn't include this, but like if you add comments to a blog with your inbound link, do they care about comments?
If you add comments.
Like, as in, like, let's say I want an inbound link from your website, and you've got a place where there's comments. I can add a comment, and I go in and say, "Oh yeah, great document," and check out my website.
So
Like,
obviously everyone does it, right?
Right,
It's not.
right, so
it's not frowned upon. It's not. If you overdo it by building some technology that will go into every blog and every site and start, then they'll probably figure it out.
But I mean, it's not like a best practice. You wouldn't recommend people to do.
Perfectly fine.
Okay, so
Perfectly fine.
Although, most of the content platforms, like a WordPress or any of those, they put no follow on those,
Right.
on anybody who puts a
Right.
link in
Yeah,
there.
that's
So
a good point.
by default, you're not able to give yourself.
Right.
the
You won't get-
juice to
you-
do that.
exactly.
You won't get very far.
Right. You won't get any SEO juice. You'll get the clicks, right? But you won't get any SEO juice. Think of Wikipedia, right? Back a few years beginning, right? Obviously, whatever years ago, people used to go in and put a lot of links in Wikipedia. Big site, a lot of traffic, people click, right? Obviously, everything is no follow, and there's a whole community that makes sure there's no bad links. So it's exactly that. Again, there's no follow on most of them, but still, you'll get clicks to the site, right? Which visits. Yes.
Do you do anything on Facebook?
Wow, I was waiting that to come on, right? For the whole social media versus SEO to come. We
I mean, I guess it's a bigger question for businesses,
Right.
how they leverage social media. We're very business centric.
right. So we don't do a lot. We do a little bit. Again, for us, we're looking at whatever will move the needle, right? So it's a little bit different than where you guys are currently standing. If your site is very social by nature, then absolutely. I mean, that is your SEO, right? Or at least equivalent. And it is the future. If you ask them how many people socialize around a living will, probably not that many, right? Hey buddy, I just found this awesome living will, right? No. Now what we did try to do is, can you pause the video? Every time someone comes from Facebook and try to download or downloads a document, so some of our documents are free, so people can download them. We used to actually post to their wall, whatever, the fact that you just download that document.
Sure. Like divorce settlement on Facebook.
Exactly. Now when that started happening, that was just not nice. So it doesn't happen that often, obviously. Whatever. But if you get people to download exchange procedure or whatever it is, and they're all of their friends watching it. That's just not nice, right? Still, you will get traffic. You'll get people. You'll get whatever you want, right? So, I guess my point is, don't be afraid of crossing the line. You can always scale back. What's the worst thing that can happen, right? You learn something.
Someone gets divorced.
Hmm?
Someone gets divorced that was going to get divorced anyway.
Look, if it was meant to be, it was meant to be, right?
Revenue.
Wow. Greedy motherfuckers. Yes. Questions? Yep.
So what percentage of your company is broken into, or at least the energy or resources that go to content generation versus SEO versus kind of the testing that you were describing?
So obviously it changed over time. So right now we have four content guys. Four pretty much full time. Marketing is 2, and on SEO we just don't. Our SEO focus right now is more on like site speed, distribution, things like that. So it's not the typical SEO, because a lot of these already built for years. Last year, we spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of my time trying to build all kind of ways of, if it's more content, removing all bad content, putting filler, whatever, all kind of things like that are don't attract traffic. So we just might as well delete it. For the most part, we focus most of our time on marketing. Most of our energy is on marketing. Trying landing pages, these type of things. Email marketing, a lot.
And on the page where your landing page where you said 30% of the revenue comes from ads, now is that just from posting those ads versus some kind of click-through?
Nope, just AdSense. Pure AdSense. Well, actually, that's custom AdSense, which is going away, but yeah, just AdSense.
You said you were going to tell a story about like getting rid of like 11 million pages or
All
something.
right.
What was the story behind that?
So when we started, with SEO, again, we're talking about 2007, 2008, 2009, more was better. The more pages you have, the better it is. So we built crapload of pages. Profile pages, document pages, collection pages, like anything you can imagine, just more. At some point we will say, oh, you know what, we actually care about quality. That's a whole Mayday, and then, so more became not as important versus other factors of quality and inlinks and other things that were always important, but it just changed algorithm and it became more real time. And so we got to the point of a year later that, maybe more is not good enough, and we really start deleting millions of pages, millions of pieces of content that had no views on them at all. And we deduced that they're not indexed at all, might as well delete them. And so our sitemap became smaller. That in Google's mind became something positive. So if you just, again, I don't know how many of you guys have large sites of a lot of pages. Just remember that more is not always the best thing, right? Again, I'm talking about millions of pages, right? If you have 1,000, don't worry about it. Keep creating more pages, right? That's not big enough. So that's the story, just deleting. Just trimming a lot. Okay? Any other questions? Thank you very much.